Good morning. Good morning, social media breakfast. Woo! Yay. So thank you guys so much for bearing with us in our new space. Last month, we were very crowded, so we just moved into here. It'll take us probably a while to figure out how to calm down. But today, we're going to be talking about how you can get better short form video. And I can't think of anybody better than Brittany St to do that with us from Fun Love Media. This is what they do. They go out and do a lot of this kind of video out in the public, and they for small businesses, for big businesses, for all kinds of businesses. And I love what they're doing with their company. And also, I want you guys to know what's in this big brain right here. So good morning. Welcome.
It's a very big brain. Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning. So we're going to just jump right into it. And then we're going to leave some time for questions at the end as well. So I'm going to jump right into it with Brittany. So let's just start with, what is the most important part of a short form video, and why should we be using them?
You should be using short form video because right now, currently, things change in social media. As you know, you've been doing this for a very long time.
Too long.
But they do change. But currently, like, we're in 2024, and short form video is what's working. It's what people are loving to consume. It's
Close to your mouth.
Oh, closer.
Yeah, because we want to make sure we hear you.
Sorry. Hello. Is that better? Okay. It's what's working. It's what's popular. It's what, like, the viewer and the consumer, everybody wants to see. So we want to meet them where they're at. And it's also really effective. I mean, it's video. It's a motion picture. And that's exciting, as we all know from watching movies and television for all these years. And you can make your own little device.
Right. I mean, that's actually the coolest part about it, is that we have this in our hand all the time, right? Most of us do, or in our purse or somewhere. And so it's awesome to be able to pull that out. Also, you might want to open the back door, because then people can come in there. Okay, good. Awesome. So come on in, girls. I'm sorry you're getting in there. Don't feel bad. We're good. Just come on in. It's a new space, so we're just kind of working with it. So anyway, yeah, so I'm really excited that we always have this with us, and these phones are like pretty good these days, right? So tell us how we're using this, because you're using this too for your professional work, right?
Yes. Currently at Fun Love Media, we create all client content with smartphones. We're not using a traditional camera at all. Maybe we will one day, but like right now, it doesn't really make sense for what we're doing, because when you're creating content specifically for social media, and that's like the primary use of the content, it just makes sense. It's built for it. You already have the right format. You have the ability to have it vertical, which right now short form video is best when it's vertically formatted. You already have all the features. You're connected to the apps. I mean, it's all there, and it's really good quality, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I how many of you love the quality from your smartphone these days? Yeah, see, there's I'd say 80-90% of you do. And so here's the thing though, like, I have like 1,000 videos on my phone, and I'm not really sure how to like get them off my phone into something. I mean, I am sure, but how do you do that? Like, what do you? What would you?
I know, but please share.
Well, I mean, kind of, but I still have too many that I'm not using. So could you give us a little bit of an idea of how you would suggest people start to, catalog their videos and keep track of them so that they can use them?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could do something as simple as using the photo albums in your phone and just to organize stuff. That's a good first step, because you're right. It can get overwhelming. You can end up with, I mean, I have 100,000 no joke, photos and videos in my, thank you, Vanessa.
You win.
And yeah. In one of my phones, and I don't know how many is in the other one, but yeah, it does get overwhelming. So, I mean, I honestly, for the first, like right then, you can just go ahead and use the albums in the phone to go ahead and organize. But then of course you can use whatever other tools you want. Like for us, we're at work, we're doing this for clients and stuff. So we're using like Google Drive folders, and we're organizing things and all of that. But then we're honestly a lot of times editing things with like an app that's in the phone. That's very simple.
And we'll get to tools, because there are some cool ones, and I know you have some to recommend today. Also, I can say for us, we use Google Photos a lot. So it just automatically will, because I have an Android, she has an iPhone, so we can talk about this that way. But these just automatically upload into Google Photos for me. So that's helpful to have some sort of, and you guys have iCloud.
There's a cloud.
iCloud. Yeah. So I mean,
it's a little bit better than yours, but we don't talk about that
well. Right. I'm going to be honest. It might be, but probably not. Just saying. All right. Okay, good. So let's go from the beginning though, because one of the things we can have as many videos as we want, but they have to tell a story, right? And so I want you to talk right now about the main parts of a video that you think about when you're shooting them. So I think also getting video from the beginning, that's one of the things I found hard, is to think ahead of like, what all do I need to make this video go? So could you walk through your thought process on that?
Yeah, sure. So I was an actor. I loved movies. I loved television and production and all these things. And so that helped me understand like how to do that, to how to think ahead and go, what are you going to need? Like what shots are you going to need to piece it together to make your own little production that you're making with your phone. But anybody can really do this. If you think about like, I know I'm aging myself, but like, you know, we would watch the DVDs and they would have like behind the scenes features and you saw how the movie was made. That kind of thing. Like we all have little bits of that knowledge in us and you just really think about how to map it out and how to piece it together. But you're right, like preparing, because it is hard. You might forget and go, oh crap, I wish I would have, you know, gotten a shot of this before this, or, you know, like before and after. You forget to do the before picture, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
behind the scenes.
It's just
sorry.
It's like natural. But yeah, no, I mean that's really a way that you can kind of think of it, honestly, because we've all seen that sort of thing. And then you do want to think about the visuals. Like I always think about, you know, how do I want to catch their attention right from the start, which we call a hook. There's a visual hook, there's verbal hooks, there's written hooks, there's all the hooks, which is you're grabbing the viewer's attention. And that really, really matters with short form video, because unfortunately I feel like we have like 2 seconds probably to get their attention, maybe one. Dr. Buffoni says one. And that's hard, like no pressure. You have 1 second to get their attention, but you can do that by a quick movement, nice bright lighting, colors. There's ways to do it, and then hold on to them. So hopefully they'll keep watching.
Right. And so let's talk about, I want to go deep into the hook real quick, because I think that is the most important part. And it is the hardest part too, really. It sounds easy. Like, let's have a hook. What is that? And you were talking about visual versus verbal versus whatever. So could you give us some examples of each? Let's say visual first.
Sure. So a visual hook could simply be movement. And say you have the phone in a tripod. You don't have to, but if you do, I mean, really just coming into the frame, like right then when you start talking, just quick movement. Also, if you really want to take it up a notch, think about the surrounding. Think about your lighting. Natural lighting is always fantastic. Just get by a window. What your surroundings, like if it's for a business, I always say like shoot your content at your place of business. If you have a place of business, you know, if you're a dentist, like do it there where you see all the things in the chair and the, you know, like these kinds of things are all visually connected to what you're doing, and so that's what helps get their attention visually. But if you don't have a place of business, just make sure you're catching that attention right off the bat. Maybe you're just waving, hopping into
so camera. It's not that hard, really.
No,
it's just a thing. It's just a quick something movement to catch your eye. Right. So I would think about like me, I'm just thinking about myself, like scrolling through, like say an Instagram or a TikTok or something. How do we do that? Like so always think of myself, like my behavior, and it's pretty quick, right? We just go. So, I mean, I think that's another way to think about it too. So if there's anything that catches your eye, I mean, I know I've been like bookmarking things whenever they catch my eye. Do you do that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of saved, like who else has like a lot of saved videos and sounds? And it's like, I'm totally going to use all these. But yeah, I think it's smart to save them.
Cool. What about verbal hooks?
Verbal hooks are exciting, but it's an art form in my opinion, and it's like editing. If anybody's ever been an editor of any kind, really, it's like edit, do it again, cut back again, cut back again. It's the same thing, because you may think that you're getting to the point, but hey guys, just wanted to come on here, and you lost them. They're like, shoot, you know, I don't want to hear, you know, you didn't say anything to grab my attention. So you have to dive right in. And if you're recording it ahead of time and you're going to edit your videos, then you have that chance to cut back and get right to the point. And sometimes you're going to go to a point, maybe you're speaking during the whole video, you're going to go to a point later in the video when you said something juicy, and you're going to take that, put it at the beginning, and then proceed.
So it doesn't have to be put together in the same order that you shot it. That's very good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you kind of like can think of it as like spoiling the ending at the beginning, which is totally fine, because again, we're just trying to get people's attention and then go on to elaborate through the rest of the video.
Yeah, people want to know why that, so they'll listen on. Okay, great. What about the visual hooks that I've seen with the text hooks? Could you talk about that? Because you see them on the slides that people have on their shorts.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same idea, is that you want to have something that gets attention. I call it pop-up text. I don't know when I started doing that. It was a long time ago, but the on-screen text, you mean, like on, yeah. And it's the same thing. You might have some more words pop up a few seconds later, but whatever's on there first definitely needs to be like a headline, like a news headline. I have a client that owns a hair salon for 20 plus years, and she's never been a hairstylist a day in her life and doesn't want to. And so a lot of times we're using, I've owned a hair salon for 20 years, but I'm not a hairstylist. And then we continue the story.
Oh yeah.
Because that's interesting and that grabs attention.
Yeah, because it's something different that nobody's ever heard of. Like, who has a hairstylist that doesn't do hair?
Right. And I have a great copywriter friend, Terry Schilling, and he would always tell us about the power of the word this, and it's the same thing in like an email subject line, but being like, I can't believe this happened to me when I went to Disneyland. And it's like, what is this? We all need to know,
The magic this word. Ooh. See, we already have money in the first part of the show today. So those are the hooks. Are there other hooks that I haven't asked about? Types that you use? Are those the main ones?
Well, I mean, written ones as well, like in the caption of the post, they do matter. Yeah.
Do people actually do that? Because I mean, they don't really show the caption anymore. So tell me about that.
It can be tricky when it comes to short form video, especially if somebody's scrolling through the feed of like the Reels or the TikToks or whatever, because you really don't see, but just what is it, like maybe the first 6 words or something. So those first few words should be juicy and make somebody want to read more. But maybe you don't always need to have a lengthy caption with short form video. I would say there's actual reasons for it. You're providing the recipe. You're explaining the rest of the process. But maybe not to talk. But keywords are also getting to be a bigger deal now. And
so talk about that a little bit, the keywords, because what about hashtags versus keywords?
Oh, goodness.
The easy stuff.
How long we got before we started talking about hashtags?
Yeah. I had to.
I know.
It's a question.
So we use all of them in the work that we do. I use all of both keywords and hashtags, and even my personal brand stuff. I think I pretty much use keywords and hashtags, and on the screen and all that stuff. I mean, if you really want to take it up a notch, you're really going to think about the words, like all the words on the screen, the words in the caption, the words that the person is saying verbally. I mean, all those words matter and contribute. But hashtags, I feel like there was like a time where it was like, especially on Instagram, people are like using 30 hashtags like every time or whatever the limit is. It's not necessary. I mean, I think you don't have to use 30. You can use 4.
Do people really use hashtags to search anymore? Is it for the algorithm? Tell me why a hashtag even matters anymore.
A hashtag is a way to search it, and it does make it a clickable link on most social media platforms. And it does help people find if they are searching by hashtag. Not everybody does that anymore, but some people do.
Yeah.
And it's not a wasted effort, but maybe just like I'm saying, you don't have to do 20 or 30, but maybe do a few strong ones. And they also help categorize. I feel like within the app, right? Like they help tell the social media platform, like,
these go together.
What the heck is this about?
Well, for example, our hashtag is SMBHOU. So if you put something out today on any platform, just use our hashtag. The nice thing about that is then I can click on it and I can actually interact with you, and you can interact with each other. That's the other cool thing, is like you can use it for community building, which I think is amazing. So we're SMBHOU, like Social Media Breakfast, HOU Houston, right? So do you really think, when you're thinking about the words, because I've heard this, I don't know if this is true, that the algorithm is really looking at all of the SEO of the words to decide where to put your videos, where to categorize you. So it's also the algorithm that's reading your captions.
Yeah, that is a thing now. So all the words can contribute to the greater good of the visibility of the video. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if any of you use TikTok recently, but like if you look at the video in the top, a lot of times once it categorizes you, it'll like put the keywords. Have y'all seen that? Am I the only? Okay. Like, because a lot of times mine will be like dancing mom, because I guess that's what they gather from those videos.
Oh yeah. I actually want to step back and tell them why you're known as a dancing mom. So let's talk about you for a minute. Okay.
Please no. Yes.
Okay, great. So you really got started with the short form video in a kind of an interesting way in the way that you were using it personally. So could you talk a little bit about your personal journey with short form video and sort of where you came from that?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, I'm a performer. I was an actor, a dancer since I was a child. And to me, when I first discovered MySpace in 2002, oh, we got a whoop whoop for MySpace.
I was gonna. I thought you were gonna say GeoCities. Sorry. Okay. I know you don't know what that is. I'm that old. Go.
But whenever I discovered that, I was like, this is amazing. Wait a minute. And I don't think everybody felt that way at first. And I continue to think social media was amazing because to me, it's a big virtual stage. You can reach people across the world. Just type in is amazing to me. And I'm still amazed by it. Just how cool it is that we can all connect. But fast forward, I kept doing social media stuff and so on and so forth. But then really whenever short form video really popped was, it started before this, but really 2019 on TikTok was like a big thing. And then going into 2020, of course. And I would make videos dancing and stuff because I was like, wait a minute. On this TikTok thing, there are grown people like at the grocery store dancing, and this is acceptable. To some. Hey, I saw that face. And I was like, I need it. This is jackpot. I need in on this. So I was just like exploring. I was just like doing dances in my house, like whatever I could do, whatever. And then I was delivered my new treadmill, which I've been a treadmill runner for years. And I got my new beautiful big Peloton treadmill in January of 2020 and started using it. And it's fantastic if anybody's ever been on one of these, but they didn't pay me to say this, but
they should. But anyway,
you owe me a little bit of money, Peloton. But anyway, so I don't know. One day I was making videos, and I was like, let's I don't know, film a little dance on the treadmill. And which I've gone back and looked at it, and it's not very impressive. But I don't know why that idea popped in my head, and I just did it. And then it started to catch on, and then it was this weird thing I started to be known for, to dance on treadmills. I don't know what happened with that.
The algorithm picked you out.
But I mean, I was like, whatever, let's go. We're going to go with it. Right. And ride it till the wheels fall off. And it's just been so fun and so life-changing and so weird. And also it has nothing to do with my business. And that's what I try to encourage people, is that maybe you don't want to talk about your business all the time on social media. That's okay. Maybe you want to do something else and then just use it to meet people. And that's really what it did for me. I met so many people. It helped me grow my business exponentially by essentially dancing on a treadmill and a spin bike, and sometimes on the ground. But
well, I mean, you did give social media tips on the treadmill. I've seen you do that.
Yes. Sometimes we throw those in there.
So I mean, I don't
Everybody's
say
like, wait a minute.
We're not telling you guys you have to dance on a treadmill or even dance. So
yeah, you dance on that treadmill at your own risk. I have no responsibility for that.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the point of doing something that you love. I have a good friend that's a master backyard gardener. Like, she grows her family's food, and it's really impressive. And she's grown an Instagram following. She joined a community I have and grew her following like 30,000 followers. And she loves it. And so it's not like she's talking business in her content. She just really loves it. And then she's met people, and then it's led to opportunities.
So what if you don't like to be on video?
Well, that could be a problem. No, I do think that, especially for a business owner or a business leader, that right now it is important to show up somehow, sometime. You don't have to dance. Of course, you don't have to do anything you don't really want to do, but I think just at least showing your face. So what I say to people, especially if you're not comfortable talking on camera, you could at least get B-roll, which B-roll is like supplemental video footage that we've all seen it, where you're not playing to the camera, you're just doing an activity or something. So you could do that. You want to appear in it, but you don't want the pressure of like kind of saying things, and then set up a camera in front of your desk and get some footage of you working, and then add the music and the words and all the things.
Yeah, actually just met this woman who just moved to Houston. We'll have her here. Her name is Kenya Kelly, and she spells it K-E-E. Yeah, anyway, it spells it different than, so ask me later. I'll find it. Maybe some of my team will put it in the chat for you. But Kenya does that. She mostly gets these really great B-roll videos of her working at her desk or making some coffee or whatever. And then she puts her words over the top of it. So she does it with words mostly, I've seen. So I feel like there's a lot of different ways to do this. But it's hard. It's hard to think like that, so I feel like sometimes I work from home, like it's not that exciting. There's not a whole lot of things to see per se, as I'm just sort of bumbling around my house. So can you give me a couple of ideas around the house?
For sure. Definitely lighting is going to help. It's going to help with that initial visual hook. It's going to help keep people watching. It's going to make it look like the quality of your video went up so much when you're just simply using your phone. So think about that. Don't go in the darkest room of your house. Try to be by a window. Try to be facing it. And you can go outside. You have a porch. And I was going to say, actually, that's really just studies and things that I've read. It's actually proven to be really effective in outdoors moment in a video on social media. The algorithm and whomever the viewer loves a blue sky, loves a green grass. So these things actually could help with your visibility. So if you have, even if you just have a little patio, a little something, you could just go out there to change things up. But I think that if you don't have impressive surroundings or something exciting, it really does boil back to the other things, like the starting out with a visual hook, or your on-screen text, making that really interesting. Like you can get people's attention otherwise, just so long as generally the quality of the video is not like dark, blurry, that kind of thing.
Bright, a lot of color.
Yeah.
So wear something colorful.
Yeah.
Something
add some color.
Wear some colorful things.
Right.
You did a great job.
I like color,
Brittany.
Yeah, we did do really good.
We did good today. Great. So let's talk about different platforms, because the funny thing about short form video is you can do it almost anywhere now. Like YouTube, you could do shorts. Instagram, you can do reels and stories. Also Facebook, they have reels now even, and stories. And also TikTok, of course, which is the total format. And now I've heard even LinkedIn is letting you do vertical video. So, where should people go do this? And if they want to do it in multiple places, how can they like format their videos so they don't have to make new videos for every single platform?
I am a big believer in, with short form video, the majority of the time you can use the exact same video on all platforms. I think some people might disagree, but they're wrong. For the most part, there's always exceptions, of course. And there's always like trends, like something, if you're really focused on TikTok and you want to make sure you're on the TikTok trends and get more visible, cool, then maybe do those there and you don't do them somewhere else. But for the most part, especially if you're trying to support your business or your career, I would say you can use the same video on all platforms. And so it actually makes it really nice, because now, like you're saying, there's so many places you can put it. You can put it on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. LinkedIn does have currently like a beta vertical video thing.
It's coming, guys. So they're going to have it because they have to. I mean, everybody else has it, right? So these guys are fighting each other for eyeballs.
Right. They really are. But I say post it everywhere that you want to. But just because you don't have to make individual videos for every platform doesn't mean it doesn't take time to go and actually do the posting, because it does do this every day. It does take time. So choose what makes sense for you. I do advise choosing more than one, just so you have one additional touch point at least with an audience, even if it's real easy, like it's Instagram and Facebook, and you can connect the two and it'll let you cross post. Sometimes that feature doesn't work, but most of the time you can do that. And then that way it does still go on two places at least.
Yeah. You know what happened to me yesterday on Facebook? This is the first time this happened to me. They asked me if I wanted to put up a short sliver of one of my live streams, and it gave me it tried to pick a spot for me, and it was terrible. Like I couldn't pick the right spot, but it's trying right now to like take any video I already have there and turn it into something that's shorter.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that.
It was interesting. I was like, okay, yeah. So and you can do that too on YouTube, by the way. You can pull up your YouTube videos and then and it says clip, and you can clip it into little spots and put it onto a community page. That's the other thing about YouTube right now, is that you can also, they have a community page that's like a posting page. That's not just video. Really weird. Yeah. It's like you can do a post, and you can take a little bit of your video and post it over there. I've been doing that for these, for example. But anyway, so yeah, so that's really interesting. So one of the things I've noticed though about these different platforms is that where the text is on the screen kind of matters, because the platform itself blocks some of the text. So can you tell me how if you're doing it all in one, how are you managing that?
Well, by now I just kind of actually really know. I just can just tell. But you can at first use the guides. Like if you want to go into one of the apps, it actually has guides for you. Like if you have words on the screen, you move them around, it'll go poop, have a little line pops up to say, like, don't go outside this line. So maybe doing that for a while to actually learn where it needs to be. Cause yeah, you're right. There's like this kind of like buffer around the edges where if it's too low, it's going to be down with the caption. If it's too high, it's going to be cut off. And that's a bummer because the words on the screen can actually really make a huge difference in the performance of the content and the impact it has on the viewer. And if it's cut off, it's frustrating and it doesn't look good.
Right. And if you do a video, can you just like make a couple of different ones with the words in just slightly different places for the different platforms with the same video?
Yeah. So one way you could do if you want to try to partially customize, but still get a lot of bang for your buck out of one video. Say you do a video, you're talking on camera about your thing and it's 20 seconds long. You're going to post it on all the things, but you could customize like if you add in the closed captions natively in the app, you can use the one native. So it's like that it's the Instagram font,
or native music,
and you use native music. And yeah, and you can the text that comes up on the screen, you can do that as well.
Okay, cool. Speaking about tools, let's get into the tools. You guys want to hear about tools? Wait, do you want to hear about tools? All right, for the people back in the back, let's talk about tools.
Hi, Callum.
Hi. So let's talk about tools. What are your favorite tools for editing, for all of that? Tell people what they need.
I mostly use InShot on my phone to edit it. I use the paid version. I think it's like $16 for the whole year or something. It's not a great expense. Also CapCut. People that work with me like to use CapCut. CapCut. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cap.
It's like owned by TikTok now.
Cut. Yeah, it's owned by TikTok.
Yeah.
I use CapCut.
Yeah,
but
cool.
InShot is awesome.
Yeah. They both work really nicely. I think that getting a paid version of one of these is smart. And I think that it's, when there is some of them are always free, but whenever there is, because again, like for example, the InShot thing for the whole year, it's like less than $20. Cheap. Yeah. And then you don't have to have their little InShot watermark on every single video that you put out. But honestly, just in the phone apps for editing, sometimes you do have to edit something within the social media platform. If you're putting it to music, sometimes like it makes sense if you're actually like, if you are dancing, for example, and it needs to go along to certain parts of the music, maybe you do need to edit in the app. They can be glitchy, so that can be frustrating. But you don't always have to do that if you're not using music. But I like those are kind of like the top two picks for Fun Love Media, like video editing apps. That's great.
And then what about gear? So what kind of gear do you think people need to have to really make this easy on themselves?
I really think that if you have a decent tripod, and I mean, I guess if you're talking on camera, you can have a decent like wireless microphone, and that's kind of it. You could have lighting and things like that, but it's just not. It just always nice to just have natural lighting if you can.
And most of the phones do pretty well with audio as long as you're like in a quiet environment, like inside your house. But like if you're out and about, you really do need a little mic. Yeah. And you could get them really cheap, like $20 on Amazon. They're not necessarily hugely expensive, right. Up to $60 if you really want a nice one.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I mean, even when we go and shoot with clients, we're a lot of times we're using wireless microphones that cost like $30.
Yeah. So which ones do you get? Just no name. What do you know?
We can talk after. I don't know the brand.
Yeah. So we will talk after. And if you're out in the audience listening to us, just send me a message and I have them like actually bookmarked on Amazon, so I can send them to you too. Cool. So that being said, what time is it? Are we good on time? Yeah, we are. I'm going to open it up to a few questions because I think that there's probably a lot. Let me give you the mic.
What are the lengths that you're supposed to do? I mean, what length of minutes or seconds or whatever?
That's a great question.
That's a good question. Thanks, Donna. Length.
So length of short form videos. So different apps have different limits on how long a video can be. Go figure, they couldn't all just be the same and make it easier on us, could they? But I think that it does depend upon the goal as to how, and it really, we're getting really granular here. Like if you're really trying to just up visibility, get more eyeballs, just get more attention, get more people interested in what you're doing, you make it pretty short. Like it could be like 8 seconds long, 6 seconds long. Yeah. But if you want to actually be able to like talk and explain something, you're probably going to need more than 6 seconds. Still keeping it under 60 seconds usually, just in general. It could be up to 90 on Instagram and Facebook. Well, now I think the minimum is only 1 second, right? Didn't they change it? Yeah, on Instagram. It used to be 3, like normal. At least they give you 3 seconds. So we're so long. But yeah, so Instagram does have just 1. But so also if you're going to talk on camera, it still is really, really cool and powerful to be able to be to the point and blah, 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 blah. So, and then if you talk on camera and you go back to edit it in one of these apps, you're just cutting out the pauses and the ums and you're trying to be quick, quick, quick.
Tell them about like changing perspectives as you go through. So we're gonna have to share because he's got my mic. So what about cutting? Like, so one of the things I've heard is that like if you're giving even a 30-second video or less, like changing perspective, like doing one at the refrigerator, one at the desk, one like, could you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. You can, yeah, especially if you're explaining something, you're talking to the camera. That is very interesting for someone to see you in one location and another location and going. Yeah, and even moving. Yeah, any sort of movement changes, it makes it more dynamic. All of that can all contribute to just like keeping somebody on the video. Because if you can't keep them there for long enough to get the point across, then it's all like for naught, basically, right? So
that was and you're an actor, so you can remember your lines really well. But like for me, it was like 30 seconds of remembering exactly what I should say. It was a little bit intimidating. But like if you do, 2 seconds here, like say the first sentence, stop, and then move over here and say the second sentence, stop, and then move over here and say the third sentence, stop. Oh my gosh, that made a huge difference for me.
Yes, I've done that a million times, even just being in the same spot. Sometimes if you see the actual footage of a video that I spoke, you're going to see, da, 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 da. Okay. Okay. What am I going to say next? And blah, 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 right? So yeah, you're right. And then you can cut out the stuff in there. But generally, a lot of times short form video, to answer your question, is less than 60 seconds long, but it takes, unfortunately, kind of a lot to get somebody to actually watch 60 seconds. Yeah. Yes, the lady in the back.
He made the mistake of giving me a microphone. Actually, I'm gonna like piggyback off. Kimmy and I are on the same page. Turns out, Brittany, I'd like you to describe having multiple cameras set up at the same time. So like just the setup of like when you and I did a live and you had a camera going, and how that helps you like create more interesting short form content. A little behind the scenes for you guys.
She knows what I like. She knows what I like. Whenever Dr. Buffoni and I go and shoot dancing videos, if y'all see Trevor? And Davina, shout out to Team Fun Love Media over there. We'll do that a lot, actually. And so this is just an example. You tweak it to your liking, but like we'll have a camera that we're facing because we're usually dancing together. So we're going to be doing the choreography, but then because I have a couple of phones and he's got his phone, so I'll set up an additional one to have a side angle, but usually I'll strategically place it so that you can see some of the other camera on a tripod. So you can see, oh, this version of it is the behind the scenes version. And sometimes I'll share that as its own separate video. And that's interesting. People are just literally having a different angle. I mean, we're doing the same thing we were doing, but it makes it's that DVD behind the scenes, how the movie was made thing. It just is interesting, but you could also cut back and forth if you wanted to.
And then just keep the audio on the one form. So like you can take these videos and put them in and keep the same audio throughout. So it's not like switching audio, because that you'll notice. The other thing that you could do is if you're not a person that has a lot of gear, I understand, you can have one coming off of your laptop computer, the other one coming off your phone. So it doesn't have to be like anything fancy that you need. Any other questions?
I have a question. When would it be really important to hire somebody like you to do short-term videos for us instead of like hacking it out myself?
Not planted in the audience. We just met today. Most people don't need to hire someone to help with this. That's the answer. I think that it really depends upon the goals of the business of the person and if that's really going to help you accomplish them. Because funny enough, I own a social media agency, but I actually don't come from the belief that social media will save a business, will save something. If the trouble is the deeper back behind the scenes, right? Like, and so it enhances something that's already good. And so I think that if you have that perspective, if you don't have your what together for the most part, then the social media videos being like fancier and cooler and all that stuff is not going to necessarily save like a sinking ship. But on a less dramatic stance, if you do feel like you're ready and you have the budget to do it and you've already been learning yourself and understanding what's good for you, then I think it's sure, of course, hire somebody. But I really think that most people don't have to. A lot of people hire us because maybe they're a business owner and they're like so busy. That's a lot. It's just a lot of time. It's a lot of time. If you really, and if it's a substantial part of your marketing structure, it is a lot of time, especially because video just takes way longer than any other kind of content.
And I want to tag on to that and ask you another question, because I do think it's important sometimes to hire somebody. I hire people to do stuff for me all the time, even though I'm quite capable of doing it myself. So I think, it depends on what you're trying to do. But you talk a little bit about the small businesses that you're helping all the time with this, because they're hiring you. Why are your customers hiring you?
A lot of times they're hiring us because, again, it's time consuming. And if you really want it to be effective and you're not just throwing something up on social media, then it really does take a lot of strategy and skill and sometimes a bit of an art form to really get great at it, if that's a priority. So that's hard. I mean, somebody who's busy in business, it's very hard to just be like also the marketing department. So that's a big reason, because of lack of time. But also, a lot of times what I notice with people, and probably a lot of you will relate to this just as a human, is that sometimes it's really hard for us to see our own value, and we assume people know what we know, and what we know is not all that special, and we're not maybe all that special, and how could it be, all that crap that we tell ourselves. But sometimes it really helps to have someone else. And that's what I do with my clients. Like don't work with me if we're not going to become friends and get mushy and hug at the end of the thing, okay? Because that's what we're going to do. Because I see that in people. We'll go and we'll shoot video of a business owner who's like put everything into this, and it's like, and they've gone through so much and they have so much to offer, and then they're doubting themselves, and they need that person to be like, no, this is amazing what we're capturing of you, and what you're doing matters, and all of that stuff. So I think that really helps to have like that support and that cheerleader. And also you're getting it from a professional that's going to make sure it looks good and you're doing all the things. Yes,
that your hair isn't sticking up on the side or something. And I think that's so important sometimes to have that in there. I was just thinking about Winter is back here, one of my team. Oh, there he is. And we'll get another question here. We're working on a video right now, and you've put 13.5 hours on it so far, and it's 3 minutes long. And it's like, but it's cuts, cuts. And you have to go through all that video and decide what are the right cuts and what are the right ways to go. It takes a lot of time. So that may be another reason to hire somebody. Thank you, Winter. All right, good. Next question.
Oh, she got another one.
At this point, I think I am an audience plant. So here's the question. If I'm a small business owner doing this myself, the way that I'm thinking about what you're talking about is every morning I'm going to wake up and think about what I'm going to post that day and spend my whole day on it and then post. Is there a better way to do this?
She knows the answer. Thank you. Yes. Batching your content, just like batching anything else. If any of you guys have ever done that, like in a workflow and anything that you're creating, anything you're working on, batching it. So while you're in that certain headspace, if you're doing this thing, we're going to do this thing, not one time, we're going to do this thing 6 times. It's the same thing with social media content. I can't even bear, I was just saying this to you, I think recently, I was like, I can't even bear to like go and make one video. If we don't at least make 2, I can't, I'm not even going to, so you're in that space. And I think when you're doing something creative, even if you don't consider yourself a creative, doing these kinds of things takes some level of creativity. And when you're in that kind of space and that energy, and especially if you're feeling good about it, go for it, make a lot of stuff. And so, and if you need it to be really organized and scheduled, and you have a tight calendar and all that stuff, then cool, like set aside, a little bit of time each week, or even just each month. Some people will only create content once a month, and you get yourself looking how you want to look, and you get all set up, and you can change clothes if you want to, whatever. And you could spend, a few hours on a Sunday and probably create content for an entire month if you're organized, you're prepared, you know what you want to do. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a daily thing. And I think that and I've been in that position before. We've all have, like, even if we had good intentions, we get behind on our content or something, and it's exhausting. Even when you enjoy it and it's fun, it's a lot to do it every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, audience plant. We appreciate your question. Do we have other questions? No. Oh, wait. Back by the poll. Thank you for your question. Here we go.
Yeah, you mentioned something that brought up something for me, like as far hello, can you hear me? Hey,
It likes you to be very close.
my question is about when you say batching content, what is a good application or program out there that's good for batching content? I've used a few, but they seem very complicated. The last one I've used, I believe, was like Hoot. Yeah. Are there any other ones out there to help batching content?
Oh, like scheduling content to post?
Yes, ma'am. Scheduling
Oh,
content.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Funny enough, me, myself, and also at my business, we actually don't use third-party platform. Thank you. Well, if you know, they're limited. It's like, oh, you can use this feature, but not that one. It's just, but a lot of times it's cool because the individual platforms have improved those abilities, and most of the time, there's still exceptions. Most of the time, you can schedule something ahead of time, and even if for some reason you didn't actually schedule it ahead of time, you can still have it all completely ready to go. And you can, like earlier we were saying, you could use like a certain photo album in your phone. Like, these are ready to go for the week of whatever, however organized you want to be. But I do like to use, like, for clients, I'm using Meta Business Suite to post things on Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn is great because it lets you natively schedule posts on. If y'all use LinkedIn, you can go to town on LinkedIn. If you're a good writer and if you're a great writer, for example, and you want to just write a bunch of great LinkedIn stuff, you can just schedule that stuff forever. Yeah.
I scheduled my post this morning on LinkedIn before I went to bed last night. So yeah, it's great that you can do that. Question for you, because I didn't get to it, but you have this methodology called the 3 Fs. Do you want to just tell them what those are real quick?
Yeah, so I have the 3 Fs because I love an F word. And it's the 3 Fs are focus, find, and force. And it's just a way to help you identify how aggressively it's actually necessary for you to share content on social media, because we're all unique snowflakes and we don't all have to do the same thing. And so if you're focused, I would call that somebody who you don't need a large audience, which, just side note, most of us don't really need a large audience, but really can do something with a small audience. So if you're in the focus category, you're a hyper local business. You're a local therapist. You work with people only one-on-one. If you had a million, yeah, exactly. You only get a small amount of clients a year, whatever you're doing, and because then you don't even have the capacity. So who cares if you have 1 million followers, right? Because you can't even serve that many people and you don't care to, right? So that would be more the focus. Fine. It's like in the middle. It's like, you want to look for some growth, but it's gradual growth. You're not trying to use all of the growth tactics every single time you post to try to skyrocket and go viral. You're in the middle. You want some growth because you do serve more people per year, but it's not necessary to go to the extreme aggression on the social media strategy. And then force, I would say, would be the smallest percentage of people. And it's if your brand would legitimately benefit from a large audience. And that would be if someone is a performer of some sort that you need actual, butts and seats kind of thing. You're a singer, you're an author, you want to sell a bunch of books, anything where you really would need a larger audience to actually help your brand thrive, then you would be in the force category.
So for each of those categories, how often would you have to post?
So more for force, because we're talking about organic social media. Ads are a whole different story. No, and I don't. Yes, but with organic social media, so the more you post, the better. Just so long as you're in the vision, you're following your strategy, you're on brand, it makes sense. I think that some people will tell you that you don't have to post much, but you don't. It just depends on your goals. So I think that if, for example, I have some clients, we have I'm thinking of Megan, the interior design client. Davina does 2 posts a week for her on Instagram only. And she's not like trying to be aggressive and like get millions of followers. She wants to have essentially an online portfolio of her beautiful work, and then to be able to network and communicate with like the community and be able to have them message her and, like get involved like that. So it really depends on your goal. You don't need to have tons of posts every single week if that's your goal.
I like that you said portfolio of your work, because I think that really is important. Like when people are checking you out, if they can go there and see how you work, what you do, have a few tips in there, and then keep it fresh for top of mind. That's for people that are seeking you out specifically, right?
Yeah, and I also, another thing that it might be surprising for somebody like me to say is that I really don't think that most people are probably not going to even discover you on social media. If you are a social person, if you're going to things like this, and then like as soon as I met you guys, I was like, let's follow each other on Instagram, right? And then we got to Instagram. We didn't start there. We started here in this room. So a lot of times you're going to meet people otherwise, and then they're going to go and maybe look for you on their favorite app. And then, like you said, that's where they're going to see like your portfolio of work, some examples of you talking about what you do so they can get to know you better, all of that. So it's not just about initial discovery.
So for that point, I think a lot of people do chase the numbers, like how many people follow you, and when you see somebody with a lot of followers, maybe it conveys a certain sense of like, oh, you're good, you're interesting. And then if you're like, well, I only have like 300 followers or 500 followers, and then you feel bad about yourself. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, so how do we overcome? I mean, this is a social problem, right? In our society, a societal problem is that we're chasing the numbers. But what I've noticed too on social media, just like you, numbers actually generally don't matter as much as like your relationships that you have with people. Anyway, so let me know what you think.
Yeah. So my real honest opinion on that is that, first of all, a lot of people that I know that make really great money in their career don't have a lot of followers, and vice versa. Some people with a lot of followers aren't just as fancy and glamorous as you think, right? So it can go either way. It doesn't reflect your value as a human, but it also doesn't even really reflect the success of your business or you as a business person. But also, if you want big numbers and that is important to you for whatever reason, it's important to you. If you don't actually put forth the effort and try and do all the things, it's not going to accidentally happen. So I think that people will complain like, why do they have more followers than me? It's like, well, maybe they've probably been working on that for like years. They probably post 5 times a week. They're probably looking at what works for their audience and the strategy. So it's all about like, if that really is important to you, you've got to put in the work. But it doesn't always represent the level of one's success. That's for sure. Yeah.
Other questions?
Oh, I had like one simple question and then one little more squishy question. So for like on-screen text, what's like max words you would ever put on a screen or advise people to put on a screen? That's a simple question. It's like, you're not going to put a whole,
They see me look at them and I'm like, oh my God, y'all, what's the answer?
Right.
You could, okay. I don't know the number of words, but there are tactics behind that. If somebody is trying to be sneaky and get more views, they might make the video itself only 5 seconds, but the words on the screen certainly take you more than 5 seconds to read. Therefore, you are going to have to watch the video 3 times so that you can read the thing. Then they got 3 views out of you instead of 1, and da-da-da. And you know what? Sometimes that's okay if it's weaved in here and there as a little kind of growth tactic to try to boost your views. But we don't want to rely on that all the time because it's frustrating. You can't read all those words within the length of the video. But also what's frustrating, I don't know if y'all have seen this, where it's like they'll barely put any words on the screen and then be like, caption. It's like, I'm watching videos. Like I wanted to see the thing here and now I got to go there and I got to read this long thing. So, but I do think it's important what's more important than the quantity of words is what words, being strategic, having that initial hook in your copy. Yeah.
And leaving them on the screen long enough for people to read them just for a second. Like, so when you pop, it's like so frustrating. Think about the user experience, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That helpful?
Yeah.
Another.
Well,
But could you talk on the mic? Oh, sorry. Because honestly, just because we have.
Just really quickly, because it ties into the previous question and what he's talking about. When you do those short, kind of tricky form videos, can you talk about, even though it may get you a lot of views, why it doesn't necessarily always benefit you? I know that's something that
Right.
you're.
Yeah, no, you're right. That will get you more views if you have a lot of words on the screen, the video short, they need to watch it multiple times, And again, it's okay within reason, but let's not like use that like crazy. But what that usually does is that definitely increases visibility. It increases the actual views, but you might have a video like that kind and that format go viral. You might get 1 million views on it, but you're not going to get as high of a conversion rate of people to come follow you from that necessarily, because they didn't have enough to connect deeper to want to follow you, right? So it's really more about visibility, that kind of a video. Anyway.
The squishier question I had was what you see as the difference between the different, like let's say you post the same video across all the different platforms where it's possible to post them. Where do you see the difference of audiences or the feedback loop of like what kind of impact the video has across the different platforms? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Like, how can you tell?
Well, what do you know? What have you noticed since you're doing this for different clients? What the potential impact is of like, what's the difference between the platforms, I guess, is basically the question. Like,
yeah. Okay. There is a big difference between the platforms, I would say. I mean, the format still works. You can still have the vertical short form video. Yes, use it everywhere. It's cool, especially if you're talking on camera. That's pretty universal. And it's not necessarily like a trend with a certain audio. But I would say that it is very interesting, because I will notice that with my own stuff or with the client stuff, that if I post the same video on multiple platforms, it's not going to do it's not gonna have the exact same performance everywhere. It's just not. First of all, the odds of that happening are probably quite low. But also, it does depend on the audience. So I've noticed that just off the top of my head, like YouTube Shorts, I feel like it's like a lot of times it's light and it's funny. It's not, and then maybe, I mean, obviously on LinkedIn, it would be more businessy and things like that. So it really depends. And sometimes you can have something just do so well on one platform and be so excited about it, and then it just bombs everywhere else. It happens all the time. So it also is just kind of playing with it too, to the brand. A lot of this really is playing with it, like trial and error, experimenting,
That being said, I've heard some people say that you should take the video and like stagger it like if you're using the same video, stagger it out on different platforms, or would you just post it all at the exact same time, or what would you do with that?
I would post it all at the exact same time, because it's efficient and there's a lot of things to do that day. But but I mean, you can experiment with that sort of thing too. I mean, sometimes it does matter. It is nice to kind of have a routine. I know that like usually when I post a video, it's going to be most evenings, like almost every single day, and it's going to be in the evening time. I don't know. I just found over time that it seems like I end up doing well that way. So if you want to get really hardcore, yeah, you could stagger them and change the times that you post, but it's just not practical for most people to do that. And I don't know that it makes such a substantial difference that it's worth that effort.
Yeah.
Is that a crappy answer?
Totally fair. All right. So we have one more question. So in the back, this is my last one I can take. So go ahead.
You spoke about strategy earlier. And I think I wanted to know, for someone who is within small business, what is the most effective way, or what are the most effective ways for you to actually learn hows, to use the platform, to use the tools and all of that? Like, are there books? Are there like courses that go beyond maybe a seminar that small business owners can actually use effectively?
I really just how to use everything, how to use all the tools is what you're saying?
Yeah, just more so like we're getting this information here, but sometimes we leave and like, oh, that's good. What do I do first? And
Right.
So for somebody who is, you mentioned small business owners being busy and that sort of thing, but if you really do want to know and you want to learn, what are some ways that you can kind of like shorten
Right.
learning the techniques and the tools and what's actually effective, or do you just have to do trial and error?
I don't think you're going to like my answer. I think that the best way to learn them is to use them and to stumble through them and to randomly try things out. But I do also think that honestly, You can watch free YouTube videos. I really don't think you need to go buy a course that teaches you how to create an Instagram reel, for example. It just feels, I don't know, so many people put up free content for that. So I think as far as just literally learning how an app works, how the tool works, it's just like who you're willing to like listen to their voice and see their face on the video. Like that's really the only prerequisite, right? And then learn that. But then even further, using them and stumbling around. You can create full posts on something and not post them. But I don't think you need to go and spend money to learn that stuff. I think you learn it from YouTube videos and from trying it out yourself.
Okay, so if you don't have the accessibility to do that in terms of time, can you talk budget for small business owners then, in terms of if you wanted to create a marketing budget to hire somebody like a media team like yours or whomever's? Can you talk a little bit about numbers? Just, I know it depends, but just range wise.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So like we do a social media video package where you get 8 videos that are meant for social media, vertically formatted within all the things you need. You get some photos that go with it and all that. You get a content shoot that's 2 hours long of creating whatever the heck you want created. And it's like $1,300. And that's for 8 videos, 8 photos, everything you need, and then you post it yourself. So that's an example of, so if you are looking at, I would say $100 for a nice video. And then most people will probably have a minimum because they don't want to just make one video. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would take too much time. But I will say this, and thank you for setting me up for my next thing. So next month on October 11th, we're going to be back here, but it's going to be different because we're going to break down into groups of 5, and I'm going to send you around this building, and you're going to work as a creative team and create one video about the Esperson building, which we're in. It's a historic building, so it doesn't even have to be about you. It'll just be a fun thing. And you'll work in a group, so somebody can shoot the video, somebody can help with the art directing, somebody can say, oh, this is what we should do. So, and then at the end, we're going to have you post those on social media, and we're going to pick one as a winner.
It's a contest.
So it's a contest and a really cool kind of networking event next month, and actually creating a video. So as a group, which I think will be great. And we're going to have, I think you're coming back too for that. And we're going to have people that are going to walk around with you. So I'm going to be knocking on a lot of your doors that are here, by the way. Audience plant. Okay. So thank you.
She knows.
Anyway, so we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to have somebody in your group that is an expert. So you can ask them questions like, hey, what about this or what that? And I think it'll be fun. And also just kind of interesting. So, and we'll upload them. We'll let the Esperson building use them on their social media. So we're going to create some content for them, and I'm going to try to get them to give us some prizes. So we're working on it. But that's what we're doing. And as that goes, is Reese still in the room? Okay, I can't see you. Could you come on up here, girl? So I just want to bring Reese up real quick because I want to thank the Impact Hub for being our sponsor for the breakfast they gave us this morning. The coffee, the whatever. Come on up here. Let's talk. So Reese, could you tell them a little bit about what Impact Hub is?
Yeah, so Impact Hub, we like to say we're locally rooted but globally connected. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, the one in Houston. Not all of them are. But we're really here to support change makers, social entrepreneurs, people who are focused on solving real world problems as it relates to sustainable development goals. And we like to connect you with resources, ecosystems, peer-to-peer connection and collaboration. Our office is right on this back hallway. If you want to take a little tour after, happy to do that. But mostly we're here for you, small businesses, social entrepreneurs, and people who are solving problems in the world.
Right. And so the problem I solve with Social Media Breakfast is quality education. So you were asking about education. That's why we're here. We do this format, but we also do other things like the networking workshops that like we're doing next month, where you come and you actually put your hands on something. So we try to do one workshop per quarter that is really more of a do rather than talk about.
Yes.
So if you guys have ideas, let me know. I mean, I think we're done for this year. We also do a nonprofit thing called the Gift of Guidance in December, where we will be supporting nonprofits and coming up with their social media plan for next year. And we ask all of you to be the volunteers for that. We put an expert at each table, but even if you're not an expert, you can learn a lot by listening to other people make their social media plan and marketing plan for the next year. So we try to like, bring you along in education. And I see this as a grassroots organization. We don't charge a fee to get in. That's really it. I mean, so thank you, Impact Hub, for making that possible.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yay. All right. So that being said, that is the end of our program for today. Please stay. Take some of the food. Make sure you don't leave anything there, and some coffee. And also, we'd love to talk to you and just chat with each other. Have a great day. Those of you who are out watching in the live audience, thank you so much. We always appreciate you being here, even if you're virtual. And we would love that. So by the way, before we go, at the back table right there, there's a stanchion standing there, and there's a QR code. And Brittany has been so nice to offer you guys tell them about the PDF that you're offering here.
It's a guide that this is 7 values of social media. It just gives you a new perspective. It's not just about making sales every single time. It tells you like examples of how you're going to benefit by showing up on social media on a regular basis.
So yeah, so if you would like to get that from her, it's a free thing. And if you're online, I think we put the link in the caption, but put the word PDF in the comment. And I don't have one of those fancy mini chat things hooked up to it. I mean, me and my team will come and give you give it to you. I know. I mean, I should set that up.
That's amazing. I'm the same way. I don't have one of those things.
I mean, I have it, but we haven't set it up. But anyway, so my point is put it in there, and I'll make sure you get it. Say I want the download or PDF or something. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well, and we will see you next month.